Greetings. Peace, everybody. Welcome to Community Radio. I'm your host, Kim, and today is Wednesday. Hope I got that right. um, I'm back. Yesterday, I had some things to attend to. So before I get started, I just want to thank Chief for filling in for me. Uh, yeah, thank you, Chief, for filling in for me. But today I'm back and I got a chance to listen to some of the show yesterday, and we'll, dive into that in a bit. But first, I just wanted to go over a few things. The new Phase 1 challenge is still in effect. We're in week or strong, the second module of the challenge. And of course, we give you a couple of weeks to kind of work through each module. And there'll be some updated information on that page. If you go to seduluhouse.com, you'll find videos and tips to kind of help you work through some of those exercises. And also, I wanted to remind you all to use the student forum. Make sure you comment, share your experiences, and, link up with other students about what you're finding and everything to try to give you some insight or more insight on the things that you are experiencing or information that you're finding out that can be really invaluable. So if you just type in Phase 1 challenge on the Sedulu House page, you'll find those videos and that information there. And for every exercise, we're releasing, videos and information about the different exercises. Okay, so to stay updated with that, make sure you check that out if you want to be a part of that challenge. Also, if you want to be a part of the men and the women's call, make sure you go to ournewlifeglobal.org and register. You have to at least be a part of the ministry to be on those calls. You don't have to be in the class or anything, but you have to at least be a part of the ministry. All right. Also, seduluhouse.com is where you can go to sign up for classes and to get more information about Anu Nation and, what it is we do. You can also go to ournewNation.org to find out more things. But yesterday, like I said, I did get a chance to listen to some of the calls, and it was a continuation of the day before. From the caller that called in with the topic. And it's so interesting how all of these things, all these topics and things sync up, because I actually had prepared for this strong to just discuss the soul, which is part of the lesson in the class. The module that everyone is on that's in the challenge right now. It's pertaining to your life's purpose and some challenges that you may face, and just trying to uncover some of that work, doing some of that soul work. So it's very interesting how a lot of the calls, even the women's call, the caller that called in, and the show from yesterday, how all of these things kind of synced up. So I went through I listened to the show yesterday, and I went through and I picked out a couple of clips to kind of expand on today and to talk about today. And maybe we'll hear from some of the people that called in yesterday to discuss it a little bit further. But I'm going to go ahead and play the first clip, and then we'll get into some of the information that was shared and kind of dig deeper into what was said.
On the segment. And it's very interesting how certain topics will bring out, certain parts of us. They invoke certain parts of us, certain ideas. And obviously yesterday topic, the show, we were speaking about the Earth Day, or the Earth Day celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, as well as the death of a prominent Atlanta area pastor, or really, I guess, Lithonia area pastor down in Georgia. And there was a lot of things that came out, in that segment surrounding that. I found it very interesting, in fact, that there was a lot of discussion around child molestation. And obviously, there are so many different ways to molest a child. There's the physical molestation, there's spiritual molestation, there's emotional molestation, mental molestation. But, when you molest a child, you rob them of their innocence and you rob them of their natural and predestined growth path. So it was very interesting that the show started to really lean heavy on just different experiences that individuals had in terms of molestation and things like that. And, it went heavy into that direction. And then there was a caller who spoke vehemently about how they utilize their children for masculine energy, children and father, in fact. So it just kind of gives you clue and idea to sometimes how something can start off seemingly innocuous, but can go in a very wrong direction. And a lot of times we are truly affected by some of the things that have happened in our lives. And sometimes we do lose our ability to understand where and how to place certain energy and where and how to place certain vibration. So I thought it was a very interesting for those who picked up on, and I'm sure many did, who picked up on what was being said and what was being displayed in yesterday's segment. You see sometimes how our misunderstandings of energies and some of our unpleasant experiences in life can cause us to have a distorted perception of how we interact with people. And of course, we can always place I believe it, I feel it. And, we can place those markers on our activities to give them a sense of honorability. But a lot of times they're not very honorable, and sometimes it takes years to figure that out. Just like you have individuals who molest the innocence and they rape the innocence of children, and in their mind, they feel that they're doing something that is righteous. I mean, they have a whole organization in North America surrounding boy loving, and then sometimes you have the victims who feel that they're doing something right because they're alleviating the suffering of this adult. So it was just very interesting, the way the spirits guided the conversation to go. And I urge you all to tune back in and peep what was really being said. If you can really hear it, some of the resistance that was brought up, there was a lot of condensation, condescending attitude. There was a lot of that, when things were being questioned and poked into. That's what I heard when I was listening,
Okay, so that was one of the clips that I pulled from the show yesterday that, again, had a lot to do with the previous show. And so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, make sure you go back and listen, like Chief was saying in the show, and see if you can hear certain things. Of course, I heard it. Anwar heard it. But, sometimes when people call into the show and they're very emotional and very, like you said, they just vehemently just kind of press certain points and over and over and over. And they're so in their feelings, they can't hear themselves, or they can't actually believe that someone else may hear something else, because it's such an emotional topic for them. So certain things, bring out certain emotions and reactions and anxiety in people. And, this is how you know that this is an issue. And this is probably some of what your soul has, well, I'm not going to say probably, it's what your soul has kind of orchestrated for things to happen in your life. In lesson, or in the third module of the course, of course, this is part of the big lesson that you're supposed to get. You do these exercises where you find out what your past life energy was and what your current life's ambition is supposed to be. And most of the time, that past life, of course, you come to the planet with a lot of those problems. Or I don't even want to say problems, but you come to the planet with those issues and things that you have to work out. And one thing we have to understand is that our soul's purpose, or our ori, we chose this. It was decided before you got in a physical body and came here. And so a lot of times that's really, really hard for a lot of people to kind of grasp or to understand, is that nothing is just happening to you. This was calculated before you even came to the planet. So sometimes it's hard for us to step outside of that and realize it, because it may have affected us so deeply or hurt us so deeply, and we're so emotional about it that we can't separate it and take the time to look at it and see, why am I going through this? Why has my soul created this situation for me? And of course, a topic like child molestation is can sometimes be really touchy, because it's such a sore spot. You can never really get into. Sometimes you can never really get into what's actually going on here with the person, because they're so emotional about it, and it's such a sensitive spot for them that you can never really kind of work through it. And so that's kind of what I was hearing in that particular call when the caller called in the other day. And some other people heard it. Not everybody commented on it. I know a lot of people may have been listening, and you may have heard it. But sometimes, like I said, other people can hear it. And when you face these things in life, and certain problems or something comes up, and you have such a strong emotional reaction to them, or such anxiety when it comes up, or you may say, oh, that's not me. Oh, I never, or you just have such a knee-jerk reaction to it, and it's a problem for you, and it's something that you need to work on. That's kind of a clue into what you need to do in order to work out your life's purpose. Because most of the time, our purpose is something that we could never imagine that we're supposed to be. It's like, we start off one way, and somebody tells you you're supposed to be something that, considering the circumstances that you're in, or, the way, the family that you were born into, or whatever, you have no clue whatsoever of how in the world you're supposed to get to that point. It's so overwhelming to us that it's just hard for us to believe. But when those problems or when those issues pop up that create such an emotional reaction, that's a clue as to some of the things you need to work through first before actually embarking on what your life's purpose is. Those are some of the things that you need to get out and work through before you start to do something. So, that's the emotional side of the personal development that you need to work on before you can get to that place. And of course, that's why phase one is still up on Sedulu House. Phase 2 has not been released yet, because it's the hardest one. Sometimes people just go through it and think they're just exercises. Okay, I did this, I did that. Okay, now what? I'm ready for phase 2. And they don't really internalize or really do enough work to really find out and really dig and see, what am I supposed to be learning here? What's really going on? And that's all of that. It's ministry to self, and that's that Ori work. Because if you've read the book, Grasping the Root of Divine Power, you'll see that Ori holds your soul's purpose. So all of the work that we need to do first, before we start invoking energies and working with Orisha and doing all this other kind of stuff, and doing rituals and all these things, we have to work through those issues and those problems that we have before we can do that, because it will taint everything that you do. Just like Chief was saying in the clip, You know, sometimes we'll, you know, think that we have gotten over the problem, and we start reaching out to people and say, well, this was done to me and that was done to me, so I'll never do that. Or you'll start reaching out and trying to alleviate and work out those pains by so-called helping other people, when in fact you may be doing the exact same thing that was done to you. You're projecting some of the same stuff onto the group of people or the person that you're, supposedly trying to help. And that's some of the some of the things that I got out of. But it to me, like I said, it's just very interesting. During that call, there was a lot of help that was trying to be conveyed to the person, and they just they just weren't trying to hear it. Let me go to a call real quick before I continue. This is 813. Greetings.
Greetings, Sister Kim. Greetings to the family. Before I start, I want to say that I'm truly honored to be in this time and space with everyone, from Chief, from you, from the rest of the Andu family, to Brother Byron, just the community that we've been in. I was speaking on the phone last night with Brother Joel, and I am truly honored and give reverence to the energy that Anu Nation holds. So I really wanted to that was one of the main things that's been on my mind. What I was speaking with Brother Joel last night, and we're on the same module right now in the class, and with that camaraderie, the partnership, the partnership. You got to work with me, man. I'm not really from here, the conversation that me and him had for about an hour, speaking on certain things like some stuff about music, and then we got into speaking about the module, and he was breaking things down that he was going through. I was telling him about what I've been experiencing, and we worked together with the place where we were on the module. I got information from him. He received information from us. We had a wonderful conversation. I'm telling you, we stood there on the phone for about an hour, and it was from us being open to see some of the issues that we were having in our lives that destroyed that brick wall that was inside, that was there, and allowed the information to flow into it, so we can kind of figure out how to work the module and just to figure out some of the things that we've been experiencing in our lives. And I'll just reference this. I really don't. I wasn't offended by anything yesterday. I wasn't felt disrespected, because one thing I knew is that the Janita was at a certain place, and I was being very sensitive, because I know it's a very sensitive topic. There's things in my past that I'm not going to share on the radio in regards to some of this. So I know it's a sensitive topic, but I do know that there's a healing process that has to occur. That is a knowing of me, because I have been doing the work for myself for just the things that I have gone through within my adult years for very in depth for the last 7 years, probably more, like I said. And I know how long it took me to get to this point. So I had to allow the information to flow in, and I had to break those blockages in those walls and that crystal that I built within this time, to just so I can expand, so I can grow from where I was at. So, that's one of the things that having a community of people that have not only gone through some of the situations and also has experienced and worked through them, and having good leadership and good elders and good people around you to help you move forward. So, the biggest thing I get is that we can't do this by ourselves.
Right.
It's not just one person telling everybody else what to do. It's a whole community of people having conversations and healthy debates and finding answers to our problems and moving forward. So just wanted to chime in on that.
Definitely. Like Chief says, character and everything is shaped within a community. And that's because you can't, like they say, sometimes you can't see, you can't reach the thorn in the small of your back to pull it off. Even as you were speaking, I got a mental image of, sometimes when we're wounded or whatever, we may put like a bandage or something on the wound. And sometimes putting that bandage on the wound just makes it sweat even more. It's not healing properly. And sometimes, that bandage has to be snatched off so that the wound can get some air and so that it can breathe and properly heal. And so, what you were saying about not feeling disrespected and, allowing that time, because you could see where the person was and how long it took you to heal. You didn't feel, disrespected or offended or whatever. But, sometimes that's not always the best thing to do and that's why I had to speak on it and say, that was really disrespectful, because sometimes when when someone doesn't check us and say that, we'll continue full speed ahead with the same stuff. And we never really learn that lesson. So that's what I was saying. Sometimes that bandage has to be snatched off, and you got to be shocked a little bit so that you'll say, oh, wait a minute. What did I do? Because one of the things that Chief brought up is that sometimes you're taking your victimization and you're putting it on other people, thinking that you're doing something good. You know what I mean? You're just doing it. You're doing the same thing that was done to you, but in another way. And to allow somebody to disrespect you while they're trying to work through it, that's not always the best thing to do, because maybe they don't realize that they're disrespecting you. And it's just not the right thing to do. And I'm really kind of pausing and trying to choose my words wisely and trying not to be too offensive, even as I'm saying this, even as I'm saying, rip the bandage off. But sometimes that's needed. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was coming at it from a father's point of view. My sons and my daughters are my treasures. So anyone that comes and is in their life and violates them in any form or fashion, as a father, I'm going to protect. And I'm going to, even amongst my own family, there was a time I was having a conversation with I shared it with the family about my son going to college and everybody attacking him. I protect my sons. And if I had any daughters, trust me, I'd probably be 10 times as harsh. So hearing stories and just hearing the sickness, that's one thing I was thinking also about the conversation, is just knowing that we are all in some kind of sickness. We are all sick.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's why we're here.
And we're here to heal. And just knowing that these situations go on, and having the children I have, that it really sparked something in me, because me personally, I don't know how I would respond. Well, actually, I have an idea of how I would respond, but it would probably not be the healthiest response to the situation. Mm-hmm. So as a father, and I look at sons and I look at daughters, we have to have a whole responsibility to protect our children from this sickness, and have our children to continue to grow and be who they are, so they can get married to each other, so they can develop greater communities and greater nations. But if we continue to keep pushing our sickness that we have onto our children, then it's going to be a circle. It's going to be that full circle coming through every time, every generation. We're going to keep on having these problems. So my biggest thing to the sister was I was talking to you as a father, not as a spiritual advisor, nothing else. I was talking to you as a father. So.
Yeah. Let me go to another caller real quick. This is 864. 864, greetings.
Greetings, everyone. It's Pedro.
Hey.
Pedro,
yes,
what's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Hanging in there. I'm up here. Actually, my wife about to have surgery on her stomach, so I can't be too loud. But I just want to say, man, I think when you
are you in the hospital right now?
Yeah, I'm in the hallway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I just want to say, I feel when you talk to my phone and you come with your problems, or you come with something that you discussing personally, and expect feedback from that, it's like you automatically agreeing to somebody, that you want them to say something to you.
Right.
I feel if you in that mode, you should automatically be in the mode of respect from what you about to mention about yourself. As far as like just with anything, like you say, molestation or whatever, all that stuff is pretty. I feel like I would rather just talk to Chief personally, or you, or whoever, instead of just putting it on live air. To me, it's kind of disrespectful, like y'all saying.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like we'll do that because we want to get sympathy for the condition, not necessarily fix it. And so when the solutions start to come, or when somebody starts to break the situation down or pull it apart or ask questions, we're resistant to it because that wasn't the intention of the comment in the first place. Exactly. Even when it started, I already felt it. And that's kind of why, I let the caller go on and get it out. But I immediately, after a while, I felt it. I was like, okay, there's another motive behind this call. There's something else going on here.
What I felt too.
Yeah, I felt it. And, I tried, there was an attempt to address it. But then it's like sometimes you can hear, you almost know that it's not going to be fruitful to even attempt it, because that wasn't the nature of the call. It wasn't to fix. It wasn't to get help. It was more to get sympathy, or to just rant, or to just talk. And there was even more to it than that. But I mean, when you come to somebody for help, you have to kind of be open to the help that the like Chief says, the medicine that you're going to receive. And it doesn't always taste good. It doesn't always taste good. And so sometimes before we start to do that, we need to stop and ask ourselves, okay, why am I even asking this of this person? And sometimes people just want to unload their mess on you. That's a possibility too. That's a huge possibility. Some people just want to just unload. And so, like I said, especially for this show, a lot of times people may say something or whatever, and it's wrong. And sometimes I'll say something, sometimes I won't. Just kind of let them just get it out. But then, you know, like she said, you know, after he's heard it for so long from so many people, he's like, okay, I need to do a show on this, or I need to speak on this, because this issue keeps coming up. You know what I mean? So some of that is what was going on that particular call. And after a while, it just got too disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, it was like the energy was all. It was just, I mean, it was, to me. I mean, I got a good sense of energy of, you know, knowing the vibes. And just, I always have had that, but it was just like the energy was just like what is this for?
Right.
It's trying to take over the show right now. It's kind of like, you know, this is not what this is about, you know. So.
Yeah. Oh, we got a lot of wind or whatever in the background.
Oh. Well, let me address something that Chief was speaking on yesterday, and he was speaking to the brother that asked him those wonderful questions about his growth and his development. Chief mentioned something about his awareness. Mm-hmm. And I truthfully believe that when you're invested into your healing and your growth, that you are aware of everything that's coming at you back to back. Hey, P, I think hit mute because you got a lot of wind coming in.
Yeah, I just muted it.
When you're invested inside of your health and you're growing, you receive information from all angles. You know, it could be just a nature walk, like that's the best way to ground yourself. It could be that, but it also could be just from people that you might have conversations with, and they come into your sphere. So, opening yourself up and being completely invested in your healing, growth, and development is one of the things that will break those shells from where you're at and how your thinking is. So I just wanted to address that. That's, you know, if you listen to the conversation he had with that brother, like you heard Chief, like while he was sitting there giving his giving his answers, you heard Chief like, look, these are the things that I've done. This is what I've had to do to manifest myself. And I felt the energy of that conversation. So you know, it has to deal with actually being completely immersed and completely dedicated in that Ogun energy that we all have to completely cut through the mess and start to develop the proper experiences that we have. And the funny, just a side note too, is that I'm going through that third module, and it's Ogun to Oshun. South Node Ogun and North Node Oshun. I've been, like, yesterday I was in a space where it was Oshun. And I've been fluctuating, going back and forth with these energies and experiencing these energies. So even with that show, even with the conversation I had with the sister, is that I had to learn some of the things that I've been dealing with in the past. First, like one of the things that points out to me is going back and forth with people, especially women. There's one woman in my life that I had constantly had Chief told me tiptoeing, and every time I find myself doing that, I was like, I'm not tiptoeing around you anymore. This is it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Speak my piece, and I'm not going back and forth with you. Period. That's just it's certain aspects of myself that I discovered through the community and through brothers telling me and through sisters' stories and information that I'm receiving that I had to get to in order to sit there and say, I'm not doing this no more. It's not healthy.
Yeah. Let me go to another call real quick. I think this is Dietrich, 615.
Greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
How's everybody holding up?
I'm well. How are you?
Greetings,
I'm
brother.
good now, but I was embarrassed as hell about that, man. Like I was not prepared for all that. That wasn't supposed to happen. Like she was you remember when I was telling you about all that issue stuff that happened Friday?
Yes.
When she saw all of that. So
Right.
I was like,
I knew that.
This is how I came to that conclusion. So why don't you just call in and listen and join the women's group? Because like what had happened with that is what it's three children, it's three co-workers that I have, including her. So she makes the fourth. And like she had a dream. Did I tell you about the dream she had about the other two?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, look, this is where I learned how to do that at. Just come in and listen and join, and all of y'all join the women's group. That way, that way you can get around women and y'all can talk amongst yourselves, amongst the women, and hammer that out. But I gave her the number. I'm like, just call in and listen to see, listen to how they, they break things down. This is where I get my perspectives from. And like when she did all of that, I'm like, oh my goodness, and she kept saying my name too. I'm like, oh my God, that's that. But that I want to apologize to everybody for that, man. She wasn't. I did not tell her to do all that. Like she was just supposed to listen. I wasn't anticipating her for her to talk. But at the end of that, like I said, and when she told me that yesterday about not only just checking her because she's rude, but checking her to where it might save her life. And like when he said that, that put me in a space of something that I had been avoiding my whole life. Because he was talking earlier about how when something is not divine, it'll be removed from you. Like you really can't run away from who you are. And once he said that, he was like, sometimes you're gonna have to say, you have to put your foot down and tell them, what it is. And like that instantly put me in the mind of my father. When I tell you my father is an ass kicking, don't play no games, I don't care if you like what I got to say type person. Like when you think of a Mississippi man, that's him. Like overalls and everything. And like I spent 90% of my life not wanting to be like that because there would be situations where he would come home from work. And what's funny, and that's why it was so funny. I was talking to Amar because my father is an Ogun energy. He's an architect. He works at a major college, major Division I college, and he has to manage a lot of like maintenance and upkeep for the university. And he come home and he's stressed, and he don't talk. Like he don't talk at all. So like when he come home, he'll tolerate, and then he snaps, and then it's World War III. So I always was like, I don't want to be like that. You feel me? I don't want my wife, my kids, the women around me scared of me. Even though I'm right, but I don't want them scared of me to get my point across. So when he said that, I was like, you know what? I gotta wake that part of me up. And y'all not gonna believe what happened to me today. So I woke up this morning. My dog had ran off. Little black hound dog I had ran off. She's black and tan, looked like a Doberman, but it's a hound dog. She had ran off. I had got it from the older brother, from the elder next door to me because he didn't want to feed it. Like, man, take this dog, go do some coon hunting with her. He said, I'm too old to mess with her. You just got to take care of her. I'm like, okay, cool. So I had this dog, and she's a puppy, but she's a big puppy. And I put on the first tether. She broke it. I put on the second one, which was a wire tether. She broke it. Then I finally tied her down with a rope. She pulled it out of the ground completely. Now, this is a puppy doing this. So he catches her. He said, man, I was so mad at you yesterday, man. You got to secure that dog before you leave. I was like, I did. She broke the rope. He was like, man, I went and caught her and tied her up again. I was like, she broke it again. He was like, no, she didn't. I'm like, yeah. Look at the rope. She broke it. So finally, he got a chain. He was like, well, she ain't going to break this. So he went and got a chain and a spike and a metal hammer. And we had to break like a fastener clip off of it. He was like, here, break this off. She's not gonna break this. So in my mind, I'm like, am I talking to Ogun today? Because he's dealing with dogs. He has tools all around him, and he got me cutting metal with metal tools. So I said, okay, this is Ogun. So I'm listening to what he's saying. Like, no, I'm listening to what you're saying. It's just she just really broke you. Like, well, she ain't gonna break this. So I'm driving to work. Because I had to run out the house to go get her. So I just threw some shorts on. I drove out. I was driving to work because I was running late, and it was this black German Shepherd, like a police dog. It was black German Shepherd that was following these two girls to school, and they were scared. So I stopped. I'm like, man, I don't want them to get bit. So I was like, is that y'all dog? She was like, no. So as soon as I said, come here, dog, the dog ran straight up to me and jumped in the car. And this dog is the exact same color as the puppy that I have, black and tan. Look like a Doberman, but it's a German Shepherd, same color. And I looked down. I said, man, did I just find another black dog today? And the dog just came and jumped in my car. I just didn't want the dog to bite them, but the dog came and jumped in my car and went to sleep. Like, he's sitting here asleep now. And I looked down. I had on green and black.
So what did you get from all of that, as it pertains to the situation on the phone the other day?
That I need to start invoking my inner Ogun, which is funny that I left it out because my Ogun Ileke came untied Saturday. Like, it didn't break, it didn't get caught on nothing. It literally came untied, and all the beads fell onto my issue, and I caught the rest of them. I put the other beads in my Ogun pot. But Ogun is cause today is Ogun's day, and every third Wednesday, me and my one of my godparents, we do an Ogun invocation where you come in and you listen to Ogun. He calls them down. Baba Earn, he gonna call in too. But like, that Ogun energy is down, and when I was listening, I was meditating, I was thinking like, okay, based off what Chief said you got to man up and be like, look, check people when they do stuff like that. And when it comes to being a leader, you have to be that calm, still, fixed point, and you can't bend on on the principles that you're standing on. So that, to me, that's how Ogun communicated to me. It's like, look, man, you got everything you need, and I even threw in something that you wanted. I got your attention. So, like, for me, I have to start, invoking my inner Ogun and setting the law and being that metal of that can't be broken. Like, look, no, this is what it is, and that's hard for
Dietrich.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dietrich, let me say something too. From what I've experienced with you also, and going off what Chief said, that you're a leader. Yes, you are. You are very sociable. You have a lot of people that you intermingle with constantly. You introduce people to new people, which is excellent. But you also got to realize that everybody is not at your sight. It's not always on your level of sight. You have to kind of evaluate the people that you bring together and see who's going to work well with each other. If you listen to Chief said a chief is not a boss. A chief is someone that looks at his whole environment and sees where everyone's at to make them work together. So just that advice I want to give to you. That's because I've experienced a lot from you also. You know what I'm saying? So just with what I see is that you need to kind of figure where everybody's at. Especially with Janita. Janita was at a certain place. Maybe she needed a little bit prepping. Maybe she needed a little bit more conversation before she stepped into a conversation. That's a little bit there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving you the advice that when you connect people, because you do a very good job at that. That's something that I have experienced with you, and you connect people very well on levels that they're at. So you just got to make sure that you're connecting the right people at the right time. Okay?
Yeah, because, I was going to ask you, aside from you saying that, you wanted her to get on the phone and join the women's call and everything else, what was really the underlying motive? Because as I listened to you tell the story about the dog, and it just so happens like this mirrored the experience exactly. It was a female that was breaking everything. That was breaking everything. Everything that you tried to do to calm calm this dog down or to try to get this dog in a certain place, it broke until an elder had to come and tell you, look, Ogun this energy down. Put this chain on, get this iron and nail it down. And when immediately, like I said, when it happened, that's what I was thinking. I was like, why would you bring this energy in just completely unleashed? And not only, was there no checking of the energy by you, but it was just unleashed on everybody on the call. And then you proceeded to interview her on the show to further give this wild energy, to give it more energy until I just had to stop it. And I listened to the end of the show yesterday, where Chief came in and kind of had to put it down a little bit. And I say a little bit because it was slight. But he did have to kind of tame the energy a little bit more. And so I just thought about it. I said, okay, now why? I know you say that you were trying to get her to the women's call, but you could have just directed her to the call. Why did you? And I already knew that this was probably one of the women from the story that you gave on the previous show. I already knew that. So I'm like, okay, why would you do that? Why would you bring this energy, this female energy in to be unleashed on me, on this show, and all of the rest of the callers?
Well, because I wanted her before she got on the call, the women's call. I wanted her to see how y'all spoke to each other. That's what I'm saying. That the whole thing about the talking, she was just supposed to listen. She wasn't supposed to talk. I didn't think she was gonna talk. That's why I apologized the way that I did. I'm like, and not only did I apologize, that's not, like she said, that's not gonna happen again, because the next person is gonna be instructed. Look, listen to a couple of shows before you say anything. Because, like I said, I wasn't prepared. I was in a state of shock. I'm like, no, this is so embarrassing. I was embarrassed because I wasn't expecting her to talk the way she did, and when she kept doing, I'm like, oh my God. I said, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let y'all do what y'all do. And then Chief told me like that, you wrong for that, and I take full responsibility for that, because in my mind, this is how I think, and this ties in with what Brother Armour said. When I'm around people that I actually listen to, I assume that you're smarter than me. And when I come into this space, I'm around people who are smarter than me. So if I make a mistake, because I was always under the impression if you got to explain yourself, you're wrong. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get no bad insight. I'm not gonna get no no poor advice or nothing. I'm gonna let the professionals handle it. You feel me? Now, as far as like the interview process, I was doing that to get her off of the edge that she was on. So I'm like, okay, this is what you're trying to say, because you're saying it. You being like Chief said, you got too much bravado with it. Everything, and the sad thing about it is everything Chief said for me to tell her, I told her that when we got off the phone. I was like, you cannot go into that space and talk to them like that. She's like, well, I just meet them where they at. Like, you can't. It's not about. They don't talk to each other like that. How does she
know where we are?
Huh?
She said she's trying to meet us where we are. How does she know where we are?
I told her that that's.
Oh, you're breaking up.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, we got you back.
Yeah. No, that's just something that she says. I'm like, what you're saying is what a lot of people say, and I want you to listen to the people that call in and have similar stories. Like, she's an eclectic. And I'm like, well, if you come and listen to these sisters, because these sisters have been doing this for longer than I can remember, way longer than I have. So just listen to them. But when you're dealing with eclectic people, they're really, really just like, it's all them, because it really is. So I was trying to pull the energy down by asking her something about something that she already knew. And that way, just take the energy and focus off of y'all and just change the subject. So, but what Chief said and what Ogun told me today is don't do that. Stop being so passive with women in general, because I'm a very literal person. And when I have received y'all had a message to be sweet, I'm not sweet enough. And I've had messages from the IJ, you're not sweet enough to women. So I'm just like, what the hell? Like, and I have gotten, when I tell you, like, y'all, I have gotten in so much trouble being that man that a lot of these people need. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to just stay out of trouble for once in my life. So it's just like, and that's why Chief would always tell me, stop going to all female elays, stop going to female-led elays, because it's affecting you. You're not standing up to them like you're supposed to. And that's what all that was about. That's why that female pussy kept breaking off. Yeah.
What has your soul told you about how you deal with women?
To be honest,
let's get away from all the Orisha, the IJ. I'm asking you, what has your soul told you about how you deal with women now? How you correspond with not only just women, with how you correspond with everyone, male and female.
I let people get away.
Break it down with male and then break it down with female for me, please.
It's the same across the board. I let people get away with too much because I don't want to hurt their feelings. That's my problem. Like, I concern myself with how people feel too much. Because I was like, because like once you call yourself loving black people, you let them get away with a lot. And that's been my downfall. It was so much stuff. Like certain stuff.
Okay, you're breaking up again. Yeah. You're breaking up again. Let me go to another caller really quick. Dietrich, while you get situated, because you were breaking up. I'm not going to mute your line. You can come back in whenever you get your end straightened out. This is 502. Greetings, 502. 502. Okay, I don't know. Maybe they dropped. 502, are you there? Okay. Go ahead with Dietrich, if you're still there, go ahead and finish your thought or answer the question.
Let me drop this order off. Can I come back?
Yeah.
Let me drop this order off. I'll come back to y'all. I'm going to put my phone on mute.
Okay. What were you saying, Anwar, that led to those questions?
What I was implying was speaking about the Ori work and worrying about the self. And I think I had an opportunity this past weekend also to talk to Elder Mfudisi on radio. I had to ask him a question. I was doing I've been doing research for Ogun, and I couldn't find the information on Heru Kuti, and he just happened to be on a blog talk show. And I was like, this might be a wonderful time to ask a Kemetic priest about Heru Kuti. And the elder, and I took his response.
Is that 502? Who's that? Yeah,
I think that's
that was 502. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And I took the elder's response in complete respect in how I have learned to speak to elders and let elders have their conversation. And it's funny that we're talking about now is that a lot of he answered my question by not answering my question. He answered my question by saying that, look, get away from the mythology of these characters. Understand the energy of what these situations are. How can you work on it to build your own life? How can you bring it into your own life? And the reason why I was asking those questions is that I found the strongest energy in trying not disregarding the Orisha, but focusing on the Ori, focusing on self, and making sure that my thought processes are in line with my spirits that I have made throughout all these times. And I was going into that line of questioning because I was asking him about, like, what is it that you know, that you have developed? What have you created? And he, like I said, the elder, going back to Infiduci, is that he didn't answer my question at all. There's so much stuff that he gave me that was inside of the conversation by me just standing quiet and listening and appreciating the conversation that he had given me, that I could sit there and say, okay, now I can see how it relates, because I think a lot of us have gone through the stages where we put the Orishas, the Netzeru, the Jesus, Allah, all these people into these outer realm places that are outside of ourselves, that we put all the issues that we're going through on these people, on these entities, but we haven't taken any accountability and responsibility of these entities for ourselves. And by doing that Ori work and doing that inner work, that's how that manifests. That's how you will be able to speak more clearly with these energies and so forth, so on. Because now you're coming to the table as you. So that's where I was leading to. So, but
yeah, and you know what? That was what I was trying to get the caller to see, to ask, what work have you done for yourself to know that you got yourself straightened out before you start to reach out and try to help and do all these things for other people? Because first of all, we learned, just learning about the Ori and everything, we learned about that within a culture of how to work with it and how to get through it and how to listen to it, how to feed it, how to clean it. All of these things, these are actual actions, things that you do on a regular basis to try to correct yourself. And, just like Chief says, even in the book, before you can even go to an Orisha or try to work with an Orisha, you got to work with your Ori first, because your Ori is the one that gives you, you have to connect through that before you can get to the Orisha. Because Ori, like you said, Orisha is selected head. So how can you work with another head that you select when you haven't worked with your own head? And of course, your own head, like it says in the book, it holds the portion of divinity and destiny that you were appropriated in Orun before you got to the planet, before you got to Earth. And so if that is what's said, how can you work with it, speak to it, and give it energy? Give your soul energy, or give your Ori energy, so that you can connect with it. How can you do that? You've got to get in touch with that first, because how do you know what you need to direct Oshun or Ogun or whatever energy? How do you know what to direct it to do when you don't even realize what you're going through, or you can't even see your own, you can't even see what you're supposed to be doing? How can I, if I'm trying to, if my television is broken or something, and I go and get a saw, it makes absolutely no sense. I have to figure out, okay, what's wrong with the TV first before I can figure out which tool I need to go and get, or which head I need to select to fix it. And so that's why I was asking, what have you done? And the answer I got back, that's the question. That's the question. And so the question was never answered. And it just continued on. And so I'm asking, what did you do? Within what culture? Because our emotions and the things that we feel are so off. And it's so one-sided. And like you said, once we come into a community, other people can see it better than you can see it. And that's why he was saying in another clip that I was going to play, that's when, maybe when you first came into the world and you were born into this family where the issues are boom, right there in your face, which is really a gift. It's actually a gift, because you don't have to even leave your house to figure out what those issues are. You don't have to even you don't even have to venture out into the world first. As soon as you get dropped off on the planet, boom, it's right there in your face. Okay, these are the issues. This is what you have to work through. But oftentimes we experience so much pain and go through so many emotions and everything. We'll disconnect ourselves from our family and then go out into the world, with those emotions and hurt and that, just misunderstood vision of what was going on. And so then, like Chief said in the other clip that I was going to play, or like he said in the show, then you start to meet store clerks doing the same thing to you. Start to meet friends or people that you date doing the same thing to you. You start to draw all these people to you because you're drawing them to you. Your energy is pulling these people into your life. It's not just happening to you because your soul is always the conductor. So your energy and your soul's mission is always pulling things into your environment and into your situation to keep you from running away from what it is that you don't want to deal with. It's always doing it. It'll keep popping up every single time. So now the mailman is doing it to you. The lady at the store is doing it to you. Your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever you want to call it is doing it to you. Your teacher's doing it to you. And you're still ignoring it. Now it just becomes, why is everybody doing this to me? I don't deserve this. When we had the opportunity to develop it as a child, it was just put there right in our face from the start. And, after I thought about it for a while, I was like, that really is a gift. You don't have to work through 40 years or 50, 60 years to find out, what am I supposed to be working through here? It's given to you from the start. It's just that we can't see it and we can't work through it. We don't have the proper tools to dismantle it or to see what's going on. And so now we come into a culture, not our emotions, not more people reinforcing our victimization or not more people agreeing with you that you shouldn't have been treated this way, but you come into a culture that puts everything into perspective for you and tells you, okay, this is what's going on and this is how you can fix it. And so that was my point that I was trying to make with the callers that, how did you fix it? Who were you listening to? What culture did you took one culture away or got your children away? What did you put into place of it? And we never got back around to it. Let me see if 502 is back. 502? 502. 502? I heard you whispering.
Oh, I think I pushed one by accident. I'm sorry. I was just listening to you guys, Miss Kim. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Let me see if Dietrich is back. Dietrich, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Okay, back to where we left off at. Now, for Omar. Now, he was asking about Ori. I've been doing Ori work before I even knew it. And this is the beauty of, because they asked me yesterday, what is E5 specifically? And I described that E5 is a system that gets you back in tune with nature. And the first thing that you get in tune with is your Ori, your higher self, or as the Christians would call it, your conscience. So I have been doing that since high school, since what I went through with my mama's girlfriend in high school with that mental abuse she used to pull. You feel me? So for me, the Orisha, any other energy is not outside of me. That's why I struggle with being a Jehovah's Witness, because subconsciously when I was a child, I've never had an external locus of control where I felt I had to pull something from outside of me to teach something about something inside of me. And that's always been my problem. it happens to me anyway. Now, what she and studying with Eva and the Baba Loshas that I'm studying with, it helps me put a name to that stuff. And my problem with my Ori is I'm very aware when it's talking. I just don't want to believe it because I knew what she was on, and I told her yesterday before we even called the program. I was like, look, you have a gift too because I see it in you because you remind me a lot of me because I was the same way. But this is how you take that and you own it. You ain't the only person who went through that. And I said, just listen to them. Just listen. You need. That's why she kept saying, I'm gonna learn it from Deidre. I'm trying to be humble. I'm like, wait a minute. I know it to an extent, but why don't you just go straight to the source? You don't need me. Listen to him and listen to them because they've been doing it longer than me. So my problem have always been, ever since I was a little jit, was downplaying myself because I think everyone else is smarter than me. You feel me? So when I bring people to other people, it's because I want the people who are smarter than me to teach them because maybe I missed something. But as far as like that whole conversation, that wasn't supposed to happen. Like that wasn't supposed to happen. And that's why she keeps saying, I submit myself to him. Like I want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear it from nobody else. I want to hear it from you. I'm like, I receive that and I appreciate that love. But this is where I got it from. I don't want people thinking that I'm coming up with it on my own. I'm adding my spice to the rice, but that's always been a problem for me. And like to answer Brother Armour, when it comes to like dealing with women, what has my soul been telling me? And it's been the same for both genders. I let people get away with too much because I don't want to expose them for who they actually are because I actually already know who it is. And I have lost numerous of friends. I've gotten in trouble. I've almost gotten killed because of that. You know, I've almost killed people because of that. That's why we go back to the show about the ghetto chickens and stuff. And I say, well, I've been in a situation where I had to put people in the hospital because I exposed them for the bitch that they was. You a bitch and I know you a bitch. And you mad, I know you are. Regardless of what these other people think, I know who the fuck you are because I can smell it on you. And my Ori, you feel me? Not my Ori. My conscious mind is like, man, don't talk. He's still a black man. Don't talk to him like that. Oh, she a black woman. She was abused. She got cheated on. So just listen. And don't bust her bubble like you really need to. Because you don't want to hurt her feelings. Because if you hurt her feelings, she won't listen to you no more. And that's been my problem. And that right here. And when she told me that, I'm like, you can't be concerned about these people's feelings because they finna walk down a well and you damn near gonna trip them and let them fall in there because you too scared to hurt their feelings and call a spade a spade. And that's been my problem. And a queen told me that. I was talking to a queen not this past weekend, and I was like, so what makes a good king a good king? As far as like dealing with his queens, his concubines, his subjects. She's like, the problem with young black men nowadays is they don't boss up. They don't boss up. And a Shango priest told me that. And she had to get Shango twice. And she was like, that's the problem. Shango don't like weak men. And a weak man ain't a man who let people walk all over him. A weak man is a man who don't say what needs to be said when he knows it needs to be said. And that's been my problem because I don't want to make nobody feel bad. Because I know sometimes you expose the wrong person, you got a for real fight on your hands. So I'm like, okay, let me be cool-headed. Let me be the bigger man, and let's see if I can diffuse this without having to really like break this person's jaw because that's really what you need because you don't think nobody hit you in your mouth. And I try to stay away from that because you can't really get things done. So then my Ori told me, like, look, brother, how about you stop being around people that you even got to talk to like that? So, with the adverse of that, because of the environments that I'm in, these people follow me. Like she said, I submit myself to him. I didn't tell her that. This dog follows me. These people are following me. I'm like, okay, why are y'all so hell-bent on following me? And I didn't come up with it. And that's the leader that Chief was talking about. I can't run away from that. As much as I want to, and I want Chief to be like the grand poobah of all of it, because I don't feel that my father taught me enough to be prepared to deal with crazy people like that. My situation put me in, and my Ori told me, like, bro, you got to deal with it, bro. If you're going to be the Oba, if you're going to be the chief that you're supposed to be, you're going to have to deal with people. And at some point, you're like, you know what, fuck your feelings. this is what it is. If you don't like it, then quit talking to me. But I try not to be like that because I try to be humble and I try to keep my ego, under wraps because I know me. I tell a person quick, like, man, you talk too much, bro. You need to shut up. What you mean you talk too much, bro? You ain't talking about shit. Your female's the same way. Like, look, yeah, you talking all this damage shit, but what role did you play in it? What you mean? Just what I said. Yeah, if you don't like it, but that's what it is. And I've been trying to quell that because, like I said, the last time that happened to me, I stopped the dude so bad that had I not turned him over, he would have drowned in his own blood because he was in a woman's bathroom and wouldn't come out. That's why he went and did it in the woman's bathroom because he didn't think I would come in there. So stuff like that, I'm like, man, I got fired because of that.
So when the sister said that when she said that she would submit to you or come under you, how did that make you feel? And I know that you've explained it, today or whatever about, why you brought her here or whatever. But now that, Chief has said what he said, and she has said that she's going to come under you, what kind of action are you going to take behind that? Considering, like you said, where you get your information or where you get your source, where
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, considering, that you're getting it from somewhere else because you said, well, this is where I'm getting it from, and you're taking her to another man to learn, but she's telling you, no, I'm submitting to you.
But I'm gonna keep reading what I read because see, apparently what people like is the fact that how I explain things. Because I was reading a book called A Game of Life, and like I was explaining that to them at work. I'm like, why don't y'all check this out? We'll listen to it. But they wasn't getting it. I'm like, okay, this is what this is. I'm explaining it to them. Now someone else wrote that book, but my old read said they need to hear that because they broke. And I don't like broke people around me. So I want to me, when I talk to that king, when I talk to that Oba, he said the true value of a king is how his subjects are doing. So if I'm going to be a king under the process of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, you have to start operating as one now. So I want anybody who listens to me to have some sort of breakthrough in their consciousness to where they get whatever it is they want, no matter what it is. You feel me? So when she said that, I wasn't expecting. I'm like, what? When y'all heard that, that was just like how y'all heard it for the first time. That's the first time I heard that. So I'm just at a state of shock. I'm like, what is I done did? They thinking I done brought somebody up here to boost myself up. I'm not knowing she's gonna say that. That's why I was quiet for so long. I started asking her. I'm like, what you trying to see where her head is. I'm like, what made you say that? She's like, I don't care, man. She's like, you the truth. I want to listen to it from you. She's like, yeah, I know he said it, but I want you to explain. I want to hear it from you. And that goes back to like me and Brother Armor was talking about the Esau. That's in my life path reading. So much so to the point to where the Osoko of that is being made manifest. Because and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take the warrior path, and I'm gonna tell y'all what's going on. Because I only tell y'all maybe 25% of what actually happened. But he said I have to be aware of succubuses and incubuses doing things in dark places that will cause my demise, and being around people who want to siphon energy from me, both male and female. He said you got to stay away from sissies. You got to stay away from gay men. So I was in the gym, LA Fitness out here in Atlanta. Like I said, I need to walk around with a camera because y'all wouldn't believe it if I told you. But I'm in the gym, right? And one of these brothers, we was working out. I'm like, bro, how you get abs like that? You feel me? Like, I want to learn. He's like, you got to be eating based off your body type. You do this. I said, let's just change information so we can work out together. So apparently this dude is a doctor. He's like a head doctor out here in Atlanta. So we on the phone rapping and stuff. And he started telling me, like, what you doing later? I'm like, going to fucking sleep. He's like, okay. Are you into, like, how open-minded are you? I said, I'm pretty open-minded, but what you saying? He was like, well, would you like to come chill with some grown and sexy shit? There's going to be some powerful people up here. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, man, I'm just playing, man. Don't worry about it. I'll see you at the gym. You been working out? I'm like, yeah, I've been working out, man. So the more and more that went on, this motherfucker shaving down told me, he was like, bro, why you scared to fuck with me? You need to go ahead and do something to it. I'm like, bro, I don't fuck men. He was like, I'm just saying, bro. You said you'll have everything you want. And that's what the reading said. So that lets me know that I'm on my life path. So when she popped up and said that to y'all, I'm thinking back to the reading. That's why I'm like, I can't believe she just said that. And it was another
Dietrich.
situation that yeah, go ahead.
While you're speaking, I got this message I got in a previous relationship I was in. The sister was a school teacher. And I would study, I would listen to YouTube videos, I would read books, read articles, and I would tell her about it. And then after that, after I told her about what I read or what I seen or whatever, what I heard, she would always ask me, so what did you feel about it? And it took me a very long time to get to understanding the question. The very simple question is that how did you take that information, interpret it, and how can it be useful in your life, right? And I was just feeling that vibration when you were speaking about it, and I just wanted to say that. But the information that we get all the time can be interpreted in many ways. But the only way that it really matters is the way you interpret it. You know what I'm saying? So the things I experienced from that question was now I'm digging deeper inside of just the physical layer of what's happening in front of me. Why is it happening in front of me? How did it happen? Where did it happen? You know, you're asking all these questions inside of it before you make an intellectual answer to that. So that's what I just wanted to say. When you
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when you were speaking, that's what came to me.
Now, just listening to what Dietrich said and what Armor said, I think it's something else that you all are missing. You had two women saying, I want you to tell me. Essentially, they're choosing you to teach them, to lead them. Dietrich had one woman that openly said she wants to submit to him. And instead of saying, okay, I'll take you or I won't take you or whatever, you started to describe an experience you had where you ran into a gay man. And so as I'm listening to you talk about it and listening to how you responded to the sister, it's like it's coming in your face again. Like, why are you still running away from this? This woman says she's going to submit to you. Take her under your wing. You said that you get it from another source. So what I'm hearing is, or what I'm saying is, since you feel like, okay, I need to learn more, is to be a better student under the priest that you're learning it from, and then impart that information to her. So you both had, if a woman asks you, if she starts probing like that, like, where'd you get that from, blah, 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 she's wanting you. She's come to you, and that's like a sign of her saying, "Look, I'm choosing you. Tell me more. What's going on?" And impart that light to me. And if you don't have it together, or if you don't have it already, you said you have a source where you get it from. So go back to the source and learn a little bit more, and say, okay, I've taken this step. My Itai says I'm supposed to do this, blah, blah, blah. I got this woman. Okay, now I need to figure out what I need to do. So now I need to be a better student. Now I need to listen up more. Maybe I need to stop going here, there, all over the place, blah, 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 because I already told this woman this is where I got it from. So let me sit at the feet of this man or take what he's saying and work on it even more so that I can be this energy or whatever it is I'm supposed to be. Hang on just a second. I think Pedro wanted to say something. Let me bring him back in. 864. Pedro?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's me. I just wanted to say, Brother Dietrich, man, if you incorporating people like Anwar say, you like you say, just give a nice thorough examination before you just give them your heart. You know what I'm saying? Just don't even feed them too much of, what you know until you see exactly where they at. Because, some people will use you, try to throw a monkey wrench, and, throw you off your energy or your balance, just to mess with you. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, that's something, you need to hear or whatever as a brother, man. Not trying to disrespect you or nothing in any kind of way, but I'm just saying, because you explain yourself a lot,
What made you say that? What were you hearing? What were you hearing in the conversation that made you say that?
As far as like what I just said.
Mhm.
Well, like I say, I mean, he was saying, he come into people and, I guess, of course they have different situations or whatever, and he said, he always put, others before him, or he don't stand up basically to the level that he needs to stand up on, and, especially the situation with the gay dude. I mean, honestly, if you kind of got some flags from the start, I would have just cut them off then. That's just me personally speaking, though. I do calisthenics. I don't go to the gym with guys and we go high five and all that. I just rather run, do some push-ups and all that. But that's why I say that each his own. Ain't nothing wrong with working out with another man. But me personally, I'm not.
But I see what you're saying. But like brother Pedro, everything you said is right, and what you said is the definition of a succubus and an incubus. Like I'm a trainer, and a lot of what I learned came from improv stuff like that. Just like, man, how you do that? And I incorporate that into my training program. I'm like, man, I got this from a partner. He's a physique bodybuilder. I got this from my partner. He's a defensive back that played for the Packers. Or my partner, I got this from my other partner. He played for the Cowboys. He's a defensive lineman. So like, I get information from random people because like that's how the universe communicates to me. You feel me? So I'm not, and with her, like I'm not. I can't stress this enough. I'm not looking for these people. These people will walk up to me and be like, "Man, what's up with you, man? Why are you the way you are?" Or tell me about they call them beads up here. Tell me about your beads, and I have them tucked in my shirt. They see them from the back of my neck. You feel me? I keep my hair wrapped up so my hair will stay cool because I was that much of a hothead. That was a bow I had to do. Keep your head covered because you're gonna have a lot of people coming at you for a lot of different stuff. Like I'm literally, I can't stress it enough. These people are following me, and I'm not even knowing it. So when they say something, I'm just assuming, okay, this person wants to know that. I guess from being from a small town, I don't think nobody would be that bold to say something to me like that. Because I've been working in gyms my whole life, and I never had nobody size me like that. So when he was doing, I'm like, this can't be that. Because I haven't made it to that level to where I would be inside of that Caligula, wise eyes, wide shut, secret society type stuff. But they saw me coming when I came up here because I don't do the stuff that they do. So what you saying?
But
bro,
the thing is, Dietrich, what energy are you putting out that they feel comfortable to come to you? And that goes back to what I'm saying. You have women coming to you saying, I want to submit to you, and you keep running away from it.
But not running away from it. It's just I'm trying to see how I'm supposed to do it. That's why I called the show every day. That's why I told Chief, I'm like, man, I'm confirming to you because like I'm gonna listen to what you say first because I don't want to be wrong.
But the thing is, like Chief has always said, men and women learn separately. So why bring her into a space if she says I'm going to submit to you? Why bring her in a space where she has to now listen to two different men, which is going to bring even more confusion? Because now she's listening to you, she's listening to Chief, she's listening to this man, that man. She don't know who to think. Now she's comparing them all. Instead of you, like Chief has said, get in a group of men. Get in a group of men and you all discuss how you should lead that woman. You get the ideas from another man. You get around the other men. Don't bring her in a circle of men. She's already had enough men putting ideas and things and stuff in her head, which adds to the confusion.
Because I didn't bring her to a man. I brought her to the women's call.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of the call. The whole purpose of the call was like, listen at how these women talk. Listen at their stories. Listen at how they handle it. Now, she is where I got my insight from, but you need to join the women's call because that's not nothing that you don't need to hear that from me. That's not my arena. So when she said that, I'm like, I'm in a state of shock. I'm like, I'm not, come on. And this going to sound arrogant, and I told my godfather that Brother Armour spoke to yesterday. I said, you know what, Bible? I'm starting to kind of feel like Moses now. Because people keep saying, man, get us out of here. I'm like, man, I'm not smart enough to sit up here and save y'all. But Moses was put in the position to where he had to. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's be a little strategic about it. Let's put her around other people who know more than me. That's not of my same gender. Because I think not only is that being a good student, that's also being respectful to where I got the information from. I never intended for her to just listen solely to G. I wanted her to listen to you and Sister Michelle and the other sisters on the call. That way, y'all can hammer that out with her because only so much stuff, she's just going to do what I tell her to do. But I want her to enter and understand how women get to that point to where they would even listen to a person like me or G. The intention was never to have her listen to a bunch of men because she was telling me, like, I got that from my dad. I've been around men my whole life. Men made me tough, X, Y, Z. I'm like, okay, cool. So now, here goes some sisters with a divine feminine intact from what I see. And you listen to them. And then we and you can talk about it in round table after that. Now, the reason I can round table with you is because I listen to this brother here, so this is where I'm getting my insight from. That way I'm referencing my material properly because I do that on the show. My radio show, I'm like, look, y'all, this is where I get this from. Y'all, if you want to learn more about it, check out Enlightenment and Transformation. You feel me? And what you were saying earlier about, well, you just study under Chief and you learn more from Chief. Chief has told me, go do your own study and you come up with your own new stuff. Don't hang on my every word. That's why he said, like, you're not supposed to do that with me. And Chief told me, he was like, man, you know how to cast over. You know how to do over 9. You shouldn't even come to me for readings no more. You should divine for yourself. So, but the part of me that didn't have a father is like feel like I'm not ready yet. You feel me? So that's Brother Diedrich not believing in Brother Diedrich. And the Ori is saying, bro, you're gonna have to do it. And that's why on the men's call, I was like, I feel like I'm snatching the rug from these other Babalawos because you got people coming to me like I'm a Babalawo. They're like, man, I won't come to you for my work. I said, man, don't go around Atlanta saying that, man. Like, I haven't received my left hand to be part of be doing that shit. This Bible's good. He's like, no, man, I want you to do it. I'm like,
so why give them that information?
You're going to have to boss up and just get
harder into it. Why do you need to explain all of that to them? If you see that you're being put into this position, why do you feel like you need to explain all of that to the people who are coming to you?
Because as a child, this is why it's so important for men to be in the lives of their children. I was raised around my mama, my grandma, my 2 aunts, and my mother, which is gay. So I was infused with feminine energy. And of course, you all as a young boy, you're going to test the limits of your ability. And my aunt had said something, rest her soul, and my 2 female cousins had told me something. They was like, no matter what you do, it's always somebody better than you. I don't care how good you are at something. It's always going to be somebody better than you. So I took that to heart. I was like, I guess I'm being a bad person if I'm the best in an area. So if it's people who know more than me, that means that they're better than me. So I'm going to put you to somebody that I think is smarter than me. That's why I sent her to y'all, because I think y'all are smarter than me. So that's why I do that. And it's a subconscious thing. Whereas it was like, no, dude, do your research, come up with your own insights on things because you do it anyway. Because that's why they coming to you anyway. So, like, this is subconscious abuse that I'm getting over from my mother's girlfriend playing because she had a with men. Because everything I did, she found a problem with it.
Okay, so now we can stop that though, right? So now when somebody comes to you, you're not going to say, well, I don't know this, or I don't know that, or I don't have that information, or and I've heard Chief say this before in another show. He always has an answer. Always has an answer. And even if he doesn't, the whoever he's directing is not going to know that. He'll go to his elders or go to someone else and speak about it, and then come back with an answer.
I mean, but that's what I have to do now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. So now we can stop doing that. Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't think it would happen the way it's happening because, like I said, I don't know if it's because a lot of it has to do with how the thing transpired with my mother's child and how she would do me because of him, and she would do little stuff to try to make me seem like I'm stupid in order to justify the little insidious stuff that she would do. So I'm like, okay, I've never had children before, so I'm gonna go listen to some brothers who have. So like when I don't know something, or even if I know something, just because I haven't had enough skin in the game like the other brothers do, I'm gonna go listen to them first. I'm like, look, this is where I got that from. So if I'm wrong, that means I interpreted it wrong. But if in case I interpret it wrong, here's the source you can go get it from. But what Chief was saying, and because every time somebody tell me something, I really do listen. I figure out how I can apply it, and at times I don't quite know how to apply it because I wasn't put in that situation I think that information is for. So, and it's scary too because now you got people coming to you like, man, I got fired. What do I do? Or like a lady the other day, the lady that I worked for, called me yesterday. What does water mean, Obadina? I said, what do you mean water? What kind of water? She was like, what do water mean? She said, because it's pipes busting everywhere around me. The pipe at my house broke. The pipe at the job broke. The pipe at my daughter's school broke. The pipe at the other location broke, yada, yada, yada. So I was like, okay, well, based off of how I was trained to understand what water is, can be significant with emotion. And the pipe is a representation of what carries that emotion. So it sounds like to me, if you don't fix the source in which the emotion is coming out of, then that means that you're about to be flooded because her house was flooded. Everywhere, everything that she touched. She was in 2 car accidents and they messed up her insurance. I said it sounds like somebody's trying to get your attention to change how you emote, how you deal with your emotions. I said I got that from Chief. Like that's the concept of Oshun and Olokun and Yemoja. Like those are water energy. The water energy are trying to tell you if you don't control your emotions, it's gonna erupt and it's gonna flood everything that you worked for. And that's what I told her. And that girl heard that. I don't know how she heard it, but she heard it. And that's where she got that from. I'm like, no, don't trust me. What I said, the analogy that I used is pretty much on point because that's what my Ori told me to say. But I got that knowledge from Chief. I said, just go study Oshun. Just look at what a water pipe is supposed to do. And the fact that you having problems everywhere that you touch, like your home life, your personal life, even your child, because the girl's room got flooded. Her daughter's room got flooded. No one else's room got flooded. It was her room got flooded so bad that the maid couldn't clean her room. I was like, you need to be conscious about how you deal with your emotions around your daughter, because it's about to come to an overload, and you're about to be flooded. I said, not only can water give life and purify, it can also destroy things. And just like your emotions can let you know what's going on from an outward perspective. But if you don't check your emotions, you can do something emotional and then erupt and blow up. And then now you created a problem that you can't fix because they can't clean her room. But it's just that mindset. Like that's just second nature for me to say that because I got that insight and love and guidance from Chief. And I'm just telling her what he would tell us. But so now, when people hear that, they want to come to me like I came up with it. Like I didn't come up with that.
Yeah,
like,
but
I got that, brother.
Dietrich, one thing you got to realize about what you're saying is that you have a sense of accountability and responsibility in what you just told the woman about her pipes. Is now, yeah, you got that source from Chief. That's where you grew in light. But your responsibility, your ability to respond to that question was that this is what was occurring. Now you're accountable for that. You know what I'm saying? You're accountable for the conversation you had with her. So this is what I was more leaning on to, is being secure about what you're saying and understanding that what you're saying is what you are saying. And yes, it is. Yeah, you got your teachers. Chief is a wonderful teacher. You know what I'm saying? He's my teacher. Period. Right at this moment, until my path has to separate from him, he is going to be my teacher. You know what I'm saying? So I give him credit for that. But my attributes and my gift back to him is to make sure that I ingest all the information that I get and help others with that information through my actions. So the point what I'm just trying to say is having the accountability of what you're saying and the ability to respond to when people come to you.
Yeah. And not necessarily having to go back and explain, because women come to men for direction. Like, you don't have to keep explaining, well, I don't, this is what I got, but I don't know, maybe you should go here. Like, that's not necessary.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like,
hang on just a second. Let me go to 303. 303?
Peace.
And just for greetings. Just a second, just so everybody know, we got about 20 minutes left in the show. The number to call, I forgot, is 515-605-9862. Just press the number 1. Okay, 303.
Peace, Sister Kim. How is everything?
Peace. I'm well. How are you?
I am wonderfully well. Thank you for asking. Brother Dietrich and Anwar and Brother Pedro, everything all right?
Greetings, brother. You were right and exact. Brother Zach,
right,
any place to be.
Yes, sir. I was just listening a little bit. I just wanted to make a quick comment when you was talking, Brother Dietrich. I just heard you when you said you was a trainer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said you got a lot of information from a bunch of different people to put your training package together, correct?
Yes.
So if somebody came to you for training, would you send them to the other people that you got your information from?
Depending on what they want. If I feel that they're above my skill level, yeah.
Nah, see, now you're trying to wiggle out of it.
No, I'm being
so when the man came up to you and talked about he liked your abs, you said sure. You didn't send him to the other brother, did you? You didn't say, well, hold on, I get this from this brother, so go over there and work out your abs. You said, nah, I got you.
Yeah, no, I
okay,
do that.
So then why are you trying to, now when somebody comes to you for information, now you're trying to send them away?
Because I don't feel like I'm ready to tell them. That's why I say I feel like Moses. Like I'm everything everyone is saying is making sense, and I'm listening to it because like I'm being put in a position that Chief said, I can't run from anymore. You have to. They're coming to you for a reason. Because I'm bad about that. I've given away thousands of dollars of business because I've given it to my mentors or my colleagues who I think is better at it than me. So like if a person coming to me for abs, I'm more of a sports. I'm more of a kinetic type person. Like everything is function. I don't really care how your abs look if they're strong. But if you want your abs to look good, go to my partner at Made Fitness in Nashville because dude is a physique bodybuilder. He can give you the intricate details about making your abs look good. I can make your abs functionally strong. That way your posture is good and you can have good core strength. But I do that, and that's a problem because I end up I've given away more money than I really should have by doing that. And that's just a habit I'm going to have to break because I don't want to feel like I didn't get that. I didn't come up with that on my own. I got that from these brothers over here, and because I support black business, if I feel that a person could do something better than me, I'm going to give them the business until I feel like, okay, I got you on that. Just do this. And if you're not feeling this, then check this other brother out. And then if he ain't what he's saying, come back to me, shut up and listen. But until then, I'm going to honor those who taught me by giving them the business because they're more prepared for that than I am. And that just,
you are honoring those who give it. But hold on, brother. You are honoring those when you are giving the information to them. And if somebody and another big thing is if somebody doesn't ask for the information, then don't give them the information. That's because I think I heard you say when you go to the job and you tell them if somebody ain't asking for some unsolicited advice, and don't hand it. Unsolicited advice is terrible, and that always comes back to you when you feel like you got to defend something. And then lastly, brother, you just got to stop making excuses and do it. You all I keep saying is you're saying you're giving your power away. That's all you keep doing. He's talking about, I support black businesses. There's a line in Jay-Z song where he says, I'm not a businessman, I am a business man, period. You are a business. So start carrying yourself like you are one. Don't worry about the money, but if you got the power, then start to stand and walk in your authority. We can go back and forth all day of why this came to this and why we can talk about the pain and the labor, brother. Deliver the baby. Let's go.
What? So you're right.
Deal.
You're right, and that's something that I'm just gonna have to bring myself to do. You're absolutely that, and that, like I told Chief, that's the that's my issue. I don't know. I'm not quite sure why I do that. I guess because it's scary to me because I know the type of person that I am, and I don't want to make someone else look bad because I see the flaw in what they're doing. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna tone it down because I don't want him to look bad. So when you said the excuse thing, it is. You're right.
Right. And what you're saying too, though, is like when you say I don't want to make somebody look bad. You know, we talked about this on the men's call. You remember that?
Yeah. We did.
Right. And then I heard when Chief was speaking yesterday, he said he's starting to sound like a broken record. You remember that?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, so now here we are again. What's going on, brother?
I told you.
Get it done. Get it done.
No, you're right. I'm gonna absorb that, and the next time I get the opportunity, I'm gonna just do it.
And you always
doing the work.
You just said that the universe always speaks to you. Well, the universe will speak to you and keep sending you people.
That's right.
Get it done, brother. Get it done.
I think that's an interesting point you brought up. Is that you said people that don't come for the advice, you're open and willing and almost forcing it down their throat. And then the people that do want you to lead them, you send them away. I think that's interesting. That was a good point you brought up, Zach.
Yeah, we want to see you do well, but you got to want to see yourself do well. We can't want it more than you want it.
Yeah, you got to hold on to it. Because it's probably preparing you for a bigger level. This is the small level right here. You just talking about your area. Think about when you start getting out traveling, if you plan on doing that.
Gems.
Now, y'all right. I guess I'm just shocked that it's happening to me. I'm like, why? I don't know. That's something I have to come to terms with. And a lot of the issues, the subconscious issues that I'm dealing with, I have to go back from a child and see why I do that. And the next time I get presented with that opportunity or the task, it's not even an opportunity for me no more. It's a task now. I'm starting to feel like Hercules. Like now, okay, this is another task. Get over that. Now get over that. Like in order to get where I'm supposed to be. Because it's coming.
You're already there because you already got this woman saying, I'm under you.
Yeah, that still messes me up. I couldn't believe she said that.
You better be.
I'm not even going. I can't even listen to you say this no more. She said it. Now step up, man. I'm not. This is on the radio. People going, step up and get it done, man. That's enough of that. I can't believe she said it. Now step up and take some ownership and guide her to where she needs to be. Period.
All right. That's what I'm on.
There you go. She chose you for a reason. Now step up and lead, bro.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, hit the gong.
Nice. Dong.
Right? And it's that. That shoe cuts right through it, don't it? That shoe makes you make that choice. Yeah.
It ain't nothing else to say now. Like I can't. It's on tape. It's recorded. It's been documented. I can't say nothing else. There's nothing I can say besides yes, sir.
Sister Kim, man, I want to give you thanks for clarifying something that really you made me see another angle to that question. My past relationship used to ask me all the time about
background noise. What's going on?
What?
Okay.
Boy, I thought I just heard West Side real quick, down south funk, man. They got slowed down real quick. The question about what do you think about it? And I never looked at it as that's like a form of submission. The woman submitting to your what you're saying. Wow, you shed some light on that for me. Appreciate that. That was deep, because I think a lot of the issues that maybe I've had is just correlating or recognizing when a woman is submitting to you. So that was thank you. Good, thanks.
Yeah. And it may not, it may not be that she's submitting, but she turned her head around. It's like the ears went up. Like, okay, oh, who's this? What are you saying? What, you know what I mean? So now it's like, now you make the assessment and say, okay, so, what am I going to do with this here? Because now this woman is looking to me. So what am I going to do with her? Where do I need to place her in my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me remind everybody, we got about 10 minutes left. The number is 515-605-9862. Just press the number 1. I really didn't even get around to the other points, but I guess we can do that tomorrow. But I kind of wanted to touch upon something else that Chief said, and this it's all related. When there was a brother that called in that asked him about, where Chief gets all his information and how did he become so fluid in speaking and things like that. And some of the things that he said, was, about the different things that he studies. And this is so important. And you can even do this like when trying to understand your purpose, when you figure out what it is that you're supposed to do. Study everything, study things that aren't necessarily something that you may be interested in. One of the things, just as an example, if you are, I don't know, if you're into, if you're into playing the guitar or something, like study all the guitars. One of the things that I do all the time is like when I'm interested in something, I'm like, okay, what's the best? What's considered the best of this? And then I get, you'll get pointed in a direction. Then you'll say, okay, now why is this person or whatever considered to be the best? What is so great about this particular technique? And then learn the technique, and then look at others in the same field, or look at, all the others because there's always somebody, like just about in every culture, that somebody has heralded as the best of the best of the best or something like that. So then it takes you down that road. And then you start to even kind of analyze the person. What kind of upbringing did this person have? What did they go through? How did they become that? And then you start to see a connection with all these so-called great people. One of the things that I find in common with a lot of great people is that they didn't necessarily come from the best of situations. It's always something kind of not so pretty or not so great. But there was something in the spirit of that person that made them push past it and get over it. So a lot of times when we feel like our situation is so horrible and nobody understands because, well, I had to go through this and you don't know how that feels. When you start to watch these documentaries or you're reading biographies and you're studying all these so-called great people, listen to their story and see how they got over it. See how they dealt with it to turn whatever that tragedy was into the success that they now have. How did they become so great? What kind of work did they put in? How often did they practice? What did they do? I was watching something the other day. This was probably a while ago. But on Norman Lear. Now, this is somebody, I don't even know if you all know who Norman Lear is, but for some reason, it just caught my attention. Now, I probably would never even think to sit down and watch a documentary on Norman Lear. But it was something that sparked my interest, and it was Norman Lear is one of the creators of Good Times, The Jeffersons, All in the Family, big time movie producer, huge, and tons of other shows. But when I was watching, just as usual, as most biographies and documentaries start off, they give you a little bit about their childhood. Now, this man is wealthy beyond means, but started off, again, in a completely dysfunctional home. They were broke. Father got into some mess. He doesn't even remember his mother very much. When he said that when he was 9, he had to become an adult then. He was kind of moved from family member to family member. He had to go stay with his aunt, had to go stay with his uncle. Eventually, just kind of getting passed around to everybody, and then ended up with his grandparents. And that's kind of where the journey began. Now, a lot of us have been through situations like that. Now, what if he had gotten stuck and said, well, my parents didn't care about me. They didn't, I had to live with this person. I had to live with that person. I had to live with that person. And you just get stuck there and you don't move past that point. And then sometimes, this came up in the women's call too, is that sometimes we feel like we have to go back to the source and question them. Why did you do this to me? Why did you do that to me? And a lot of times when we do that, we don't get the answers. And in the documentary, Norman Lear did the same thing. Once he became an adult, he went back to his mother and he said, why don't I have any memories of you from the time that I was with you? And he said his mother looked at him and said, oh, please, oh, God, get over it. She didn't want to discuss it. And so he didn't get stuck there and just kind of harp on the fact that he couldn't pull answers out of this woman. He couldn't figure out why his parents did what they did or anything like that. He just, he moved on. And he became this great, wealthy man who did all of these things and translated a lot of that stuff into his work. He talked about like how Archie Bunker, where he came up with some of these characters and all this kind of stuff and where some of that stuff came from. But it's like sometimes we feel like we always have to go back and get an explanation of something. And then as a result, when we have children, we feel like we got to, because our parents didn't let us explain, or our parents didn't explain things to us. Now we're raising children where we feel like I got to explain everything to you. Well, let me tell you why I said that. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. This is why I said that. And you know what? It's not necessary. Sometimes that's something, again, that your soul ordered. You're not going to get that answer. So, okay, now that you're not going to get that answer from your parents, now what? Because sometimes when we get those answers, then we can start to, again, just kind of sink deeper into the victimization role. Well, this is why now I'm a victim of that because my parents did this to me. And we just want to sit with it and never really process it or get over it. So what does your soul say? You know what? You can't go back and get the answers. So now what? Now what you going to do? And so often, I see that so much where now, just like, the caller was saying the other day, and just like Chief said, sometimes we take our victimization, then we start to project it onto somebody else, thinking that we're doing something good. And in a sense, you're doing the same thing that was done to you, just maybe not in the same direct way, but it's indirectly. You're doing the same thing to them. So you're never really dealing with the issue. You're never really dealing with yourself. And that's why he said, go back, talk to some elders. Exercise those demons before you start to try to reach out. Who told you that you are now qualified to help all these young boys? Who told you that? Who said that that's the best thing for you to do right now when you haven't worked through your own issues? Where are you getting these ideas from that this is what you should do? Where are your leadership skills? Who guided you? Who's the man that guided you to do that? What elder told you to do it? What culture are you practicing? What exactly are you giving to these young men or these young boys? Because oftentimes, again, like I say, you'll start to just kind of project you're projecting your mess onto somebody else, which is the same complaint that you had. Your parents projected the mess onto you. So now you're doing it to somebody else. And then, like Brother Anwar said in the beginning, now it's just an endless circle. It just keeps going around and around and around and around. And nobody is stopping to take out the time to say, well, you know what, let me stop. Let me work on myself first. And then figure out what it is I'm really supposed to be doing, not just what I feel I'm driven to do. Let me stop, work on myself, figure out my purpose, and let me do that. Because that can bring a whole nother set of problems when we're not, if I create a blender, if I have a blender, the blender was meant to do a certain task. Now, when I take the blender and I start trying to do all these other things with it, guess what? It's not going to work out. I don't care what my intentions were. I might have had the best intentions. I'm going to use this blender to do something else, but it's a blender. It was created for a specific purpose. And that's the same thing that we all, that's the same thing that goes for us. We were all created for a specific purpose. We were sent here to do a very specific thing that only you can do. So when you take those tools and take those things that you were given to do those things with, and you do something else with them, now we start running into all these problems. Now your spirit is disconnected from your soul. Now you have all this confusion, all these problems. You don't know why. Why is this happening? It's because we're not listening to our soul. We're going with feeling. Well, I'm just so passionate about it. I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's not. It's just not.
Mm-hmm. I heard something the other day. I want to reference back to what you initially said about studying many things. I heard something the other day on Dr. Boyce Watkins' channel, and he was speaking on people that get careers. They go through their 8 years of study or 4 years of study, get their degree, and then they stop. They automatically stop. They don't do any other research inside of their profession. They don't do any other studying under their career. And that is what I think a lot of us have experienced when it comes down to education. Let's just say spiritually. We read about the Orishas, we find out about some rituals and some sacrifices, some Ebos, and then we do them, and then we stop. And we expect that to work. It's the actual energy. And referencing back to my own life, I was self-taught in the studio. I've been in the studio since I was in 6th grade. And it took me to read, always getting inside the magazines, learning techniques, getting around other engineers, being around other people, and experiencing a large pool of information to continue to work. And even now, even though I'm not in the studio anymore, I still, since it's still my part of my heart, I still read into it. I still get into the information of it because it's something I love to do. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, it's the continuing process of education. Once you think that you have gotten to a point where you don't need it, I guess you really don't need it. Because if you really don't need it, that means if you really did need it, you continue to study and you continue to be a student. I was having a talk with Brother Joel last night about this too. I told him about the Boyce Watkins thing, is that there's never a time that we don't stop being students. Our biggest responsibility back to the Most High, Creator, Olodumare, however you want to call him, is that we continue to build experiences, is that we continue to build something and give back to him. That's our most divine purpose, is to give back the experience that we're here to give. So, I just wanted to touch base on that.
That's very true. Have you, as you were talking, something else came up, and we've gone into archives, by the way, but if you're still on the line, you can still press 1 if you want to come in and have a comment. But have you ever, applied for a job, a specific job or something, and you get down to those personal questions where they ask you, what organizations are you in? what publications do you read on the subject? Why do you think they ask you that? That's the very reason they ask, because they want to see, okay, how invested is this person into whatever it is that they want to do? Are they going to do anything outside of the job to really develop themselves? You know, even though jobs have these training programs and things that you go to, they're trying to see, does this person really have any type of innate drive to really expand themselves beyond the education, you know, than the degree that they got from college? You know, that's why they have all these societies and clubs and, you know, all this other kind of stuff. And it's on your application. It's on the, you know, they'll ask you that. Are you, what scientific, you know, I know for me, it'd be like, what scientific journals do you read? What organizations do you belong to? And that's the reason why they ask those things. And so many times, many people don't have an answer for it, because like you said, Omar, like the interest and the investment into what it is you say you want to do is not really there. Because if it is, you'll keep digging, you'll keep trying to learn, you'll keep going to all these different sources, trying to figure out, okay, what did they do? What did they do? How did they get there? What did they do? You know, and you'll read and you'll, you know, find videos, or find a person to shadow, and, you know, in your spare time, and all this other kind of stuff. You know, Chief mentioned that when he was talking about, I think it was Sister Sequoia that was on the line, when he asked her, you know, when we were talking about just becoming women, and he asked, how many books on your shelf do you have about becoming a woman, other than Queen Afua's book? You know, everybody seems to have that one, other than one or two books. Like, have you gone out and talked to other women? Have you searched for these women? Have you tried to have a dialogue? Do you have books? What other research have you done on it? And the same thing for the men. It's like, okay, what men have you followed? Who have you researched? So that whole scholarship thing is so important. She's, you know, touched on that too in the show about the so-called conscious community has, you know, this lack of respect for scholarship and study. And we just kind of just go out there and just start talking, you know, really haven't studied. We may have watched one or two, you know, steal some information from Dr. Ben or Dr. Clark or whomever. And then we just, you know, just start talking. You don't have any real life experience in it. You haven't talked to anybody. You haven't done the development, you know, the personal development for yourself or anything. You just get up and start talking, you know. And so scholarship is so important, even when it comes to rituals. That's why we have all those basic classes on Sedulu House that I facilitate, the basic classes, because as much as it is, I don't even want to use the word intuition, because then people will start thinking about their feelings. But as much as it is very spiritual and personal and everything else, there's scholarship behind it. For me, like magic and all that kind of stuff, it's a spiritual technology. So there's a reason why you use certain things that you use, and a reason why you dance, or you say this prayer, or say that word, and say this. There's a science to it. It's very methodical, you know, as well. So getting the basics and expanding your scholarship and developing some sort of practice, you know, a daily practice and a daily routine, and all that stuff is necessary. It's, you know, it's the training that you go through, you know, and I don't think a lot of people do it or respect that process. So that was something else that he touched on a little bit, but we can, again, we can kind of get into that tomorrow. We've come to the end of the show. We're actually in the archives, but thank you all for calling in and tuning in. Thank you again, Chief, for filling in for me yesterday. And we'll continue tomorrow. Dietrich, get on it. Zach has spoken.
Get to work. Right in the Zach.
Zach has spoken. So, yeah. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.